contract was signed, with Johnson indicating that the work would be done in 3 years, but with the help of assistance, he finished up taking 8. It must have taken over his life. It has over 42,000 entries, and also has about 114,000 examples drawn from literary sources of the use of the words. It's not without humour. Lunch is defined as much food as one's hand can hold. And most famously, lexicographer is a harmless drudge who busies himself in tracing the original and detailing the signification of words. Johnson's dictionary was not without its critics when it appeared. It has long been superseded, and yet its production reminds me of the importance of words. We use words and misuse them and abuse them. We can employ them to inspire and inform, comfort and support, but also to belittle and denigrate, threaten and incite. St. James defines the tongue as a fire. With it we bless the Lord and Father, and with it we curse people, made in the likeness of God. This ought not to be so. Lord, help us to guard our tongues and think before we speak. Amen.
Prayer for the day was presented by Reverend Dr. Bert Tosh. Now on Radio 4, it's time for Farming Today with Kaz Graham.
Good morning. Brexit, climate change and rising costs. Has farm diversification become a lifeline for British farmers? And the hunt saboteur who reckons that some hunts are getting it right.
For 10 years they still had terrier men. For 15 years they were illegally hunting very overtly, and we know that because we've had convictions. Since that time, the last 4 years, they've changed out of all proportion, and now they're like a show hunt for the country.
More on that a little later. But first today, beer news. New varieties of organic hops that are resilient to climate change are being trialled by British beer makers. The innovative Farmers Hop Trial aims to boost the cultivation of UK crops after falling production levels. Researchers have identified 5 experimental hops which show resilience to disease and warmer temperatures. BBC West's Steve Nibbs reports.
Break up the cones and warm up the oils.
I'm with Will Rogers, the Group Technical Director at the Charles Fareham Hop Merchants in Worcester, and we're going through a centuries-old technique, testing the quality of some hops with a rub and a sniff.
Bit of melon in there, Will? Absolutely. Melon, peach, passion fruit.
And while many of these are traditional hops, there are some new organic hops on the block.
They've only got plot numbers, they don't even have names yet.
And there's one, the catchily named CF302.
This is the big one, yeah.
That's showing disease tolerance and flavours that could compete with foreign growers too.
All sorts of tropical notes, guava, peach. No point in shipping hops halfway across the world when we can produce great hops that will give you the flavours you want from this country. So hopefully we can support those 45 growers, we can get the acreage expanding again, and we can turn this into something really, really positive for UK industry.
But what's the beer like with these hops? Well, Stroud Brewery, which is completely organic, brewed beers with the experimental hops, and again, the 302 is showing promise.
Soft, tropical fruitiness.
Greg Pilley is the managing director.
Climate change is actually making growing hops very difficult. There's unpredictable weather, it's getting warmer, and crucially it's getting damper. Hops suffer from fungal diseases, so it's becoming very challenging to grow hops.
No pesticides, herbicides, nitrogen, there are lots of challenges to overcome, but these new organic hops could be a win-win for the entire industry.
The main emphasis of the project was selecting varieties that can tolerate disease, they can survive, they can live through it, and the farmers can get a commercial crop at the end. And as long as they get a viable crop, we would certainly use it in our brewery, all of those hops.
The early results of the trial are encouraging, and work is ongoing to ensure disease-resistant British organic hops are in plentiful supply for our pints in the future.
Excellent stuff. Steve Nibbs reporting there. Now, changes to farm support payments after Brexit, increasingly unpredictable weather, not to mention a cost of living crisis, means that farmers are relying more on additional income streams to boost their farm profits. We're going to be looking into farm diversifications all this week. One might think the most common sources of extra income would be accommodation for tourists and things like farm shops. In fact, letting out buildings for businesses and producing solar energy were the top 2 diversifications in 2022 to 2023, according to the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. NFU Mutual offers farmers advice on diversifying, and I've been speaking to Chris Walsh, one of their farming specialists.
So we know that 35% of farms now feature some sort of chargeable diversification. We know farming's a way of life, but it has to pay the bills, and with subsidies being phased out and uncertainty around new schemes, we know there's a real need to generate additional income for the farmer, and diversification definitely provides an opportunity to do this.
And how much extra income does it provide for farmers?
From talking to farmers, it provides an additional 13 to 20% of their income. So it's a sizable amount of money, especially when you're running a farm day to day too.
And what are the most recent trends that you're seeing in farm diversification?
More and more farmers undertaking contracting work locally in their area. 10% say they're providing holiday accommodation of sorts, camping, glamping and the like. But the most profitable diversification still, when you consider the initial investment required, is the letting out of commercial units. Plenty of businesses looking to expand or looking for storage solutions. So if you've got the buildings, that is one that we do tend to see.
And producing energy, I mean, that's a big one too, isn't it?
Yes, so, beyond the usual diversifications that I've talked about in farm shops, we're certainly seeing more planning applications and builds relating to solar farms, some going up near me at the moment. These community renewable schemes and the environmental land bank schemes that are being offered, they're giving a steady return over a longer time period, and that's definitely attracting landowners.
How important are some of these diversifications for a business's viability?
I think very important for the future of some of these businesses. Farmers are natural innovators, and they make the best of what they have available. I think they are well placed to capitalise on customers out there who are looking to buy locally, or tourists who want to get back to nature, even the local businesses that are looking to expand need premises or storage. But also, it's not just about the income. Farms are often run by families. They've been in the sector for a long time, and these family members that are there, even some of the employees that work on the farm, they have different skill sets and different experiences, and those people could play a big part in diversifications and supporting the future of the farm. It could even be that the diversification is the thing that keeps that next generation in the farming business, or future-proofs the business for them.
I guess when things are a bit tough for farmers, I mean, we've had this awful weather at the moment, we've got a cost of living crisis, I guess not having all of your eggs in one basket is a good thing.
Yes, exactly, and simply farm diversification, it's about identifying innovative ways to use diverse revenue streams and spread the risk in your farm business. So yes, we are seeing BPS subsidies being phased out. There's still a lot of uncertainty about what income farmers will get across the UK from all these different regional schemes that are coming down the line. And with the weather that we've seen recently, the non-stop rain, it's affected us all. It's clear to have a backup and to have an additional revenue stream from a diversification will be essential now and ahead.
Chris Walsh, and we've got more on diversification all through this week. Now, you may just have noticed it's an election year, and the controversial topic of hunting is being raised again. The Labour Party has vowed to ban hunting with dogs completely in their first 5 years of government. Fox hunting's been banned in England, Wales and Scotland for 20 years now, but hunting groups are allowed to lay a scent trail for hounds to chase. But trail hunting is controversial, with some hunts accused of using it as a smokescreen for hunting foxes. Just last month, one hunt member in Wiltshire was sentenced for helping throw a live fox to hounds, and a different hunt in Warwickshire was charged over the alleged death of a fox. But a leading wildlife campaigner and hunt saboteur says he thinks that one hunt in Sussex is now paving the way for how trail hunting could be done around the country in a pared-down and more open way. BBC South East's political reporter Lucinda Adam went to see the Crawley and Horsham hunt in action, as he ended this hunting season with a trail hunt at Arundel Estate.
These hounds are getting a lot of exercise, but their hunt ends without any prey. Earlier, a member of the hunt laid a trail of animal-based scent to mimic fox hunting. Lucy Kleinworth told me about it.
A mixture of fox urine, aniseed, and then some kind of oil to bind it together. And
so where does that fox urine come from?
People who've shot foxes, everywhere around, people will shoot foxes as vermin.
Box up, box up, box up, box up.
For almost 20 years now, this is how hunting with hounds continues under the law. Here's Huntmaster Richard Gurney. Why keep doing that by simulation?
Why not? It works well. I mean, everyone enjoys it, the hounds enjoy it. I think there were 12,000 days hunting this year in this country with different packs. It's more popular than it's ever been, so all the time it grows, we'll keep going.
But anti-hunt campaigners don't trust that wild animals haven't been harmed. This footage saw 3 members of the Crawley and Horsham Hunt convicted of breaking the ban in 2012. And saboteurs said drone footage shows hounds deviating from the trail and attacking a live animal on Romney Marsh. The East Sussex Hunt strongly disagreed. Andrew Osborne is chair of the British Hound Sports Association. He spoke to me in Arundel.
There's about 15,000 hounds in the UK. 1 or 2 do perhaps make mistakes in the rural areas. And if that involves the death of an animal, that's extremely sad. Where convictions have happened in the past, I'm sure there have been correct convictions that were upheld in the court of law. I'd liken it in a very bad example to you don't stop everyone driving just because a few people do speeding.
Simon Ward is a leading national anti-hunting campaigner based in West Sussex who monitors his local hunt closely. He says a change in attitude has come about.
For 10 years they still had terrier men. For 15 years they were illegally hunting very overtly, and we know that because we've had convictions. Only 4 or 5 years ago our evidence had the huntsman in court. Since that time, the last 4 years, they've changed out of all proportion, and now they're like a show hunt for the country.
Nowadays, this hunt meets every Saturday between October and March, and you'd normally see a huntsman with 2 or 3 helpers, around 50 followers mounted on horseback. With tensions still high elsewhere, the Conservative government hasn't changed the rules of the ban, but now the Labour Party has vowed to close loopholes in the Hunting Act if it came to power. But could this Sussex hunt be leading the way for a sustainable future?
I think the way the Crawley and Horsham has done it could work, but it's got to be done in a fashion where they would post their routes in advance, where they would do it purely in the open, and perhaps a couple of minutes long, one route going from A to B. If that happened, the penalties will increase. Yes, it could work. I think their business model would stand up, and eventually they will all accept it.
As this hunting season ends and the politicians hit the campaign trail, the rules of hunting could be up for debate once again.
That report from Lucinda Adams. And that's all from us for today. I'm Kaz Graham. Our studio manager is Susie Robbins, and the producer for BBC Audio in Bristol is Beatrice Fenton. Now, more rain? Let's hope not. Over to the BBC Weather Centre for the Farming Today 5-day forecast.
Thanks very much. Good morning. This is Darren Bett at the BBC Weather Centre. I can tell you it's going to be a chilly week ahead. The coldest and the wettest weather is going to be at the start of the week, but with higher pressure later on in the week, we should see some improvement. Today, though, we've got a low to the north of Scotland that's going to track into the North Sea, and it's going to drive wet weather from the north down across the UK. This morning we've got a band, quite heavy rain to sweep southeastwards across England and Wales. That's going to be followed in all areas by some sunshine, but quite a few showers. Those will be frequent and heavier later across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland with some thunder, and there'll be some winteriness over northern hills and into the Scottish mountains as well. There'll be a strengthening west to northwesterly wind today, temperatures 9-10 degrees for most, a little bit higher than that maybe in the southeast of England. It does become a bit drier overnight, but there may well be a risk of frost in the Scottish glens, and then we've got that cold wind, a lot of cloud and further showers affecting eastern England tomorrow. Elsewhere, I think we will see some sunshine, but the showers are going to develop, particularly across Scotland and Northern Ireland, where again there could be wintry over the hills. Temperatures typically 11 or 12 degrees tomorrow, but only 7 or 8 in northern parts of Scotland.
And we may well see a bit more winteriness over higher parts of Scotland overnight into Wednesday. Wednesday, the winds will be lighter, still more from the north or northwest. There'll be a scattering of showers developing, wintry over the Scottish hills and over the tops of the Pennines, and temperatures only 9 or 10 degrees typically on Wednesday. Now, by the time we get into Thursday, we start to see a ridge building in from the Atlantic. It'll be a cold start, temperatures 1 or 2 degrees. We'll see some rain coming into northern Scotland from a weather front. Elsewhere, it's likely to be dry on Thursday, if rather cloudy, temperatures 11 or 12 degrees. On Friday, that weak weather front moves its way southwards, a northwesterly wind returns, but we're drawing in some warmer air around the area of high pressure, so by Friday it'll be drier, temperatures 12 to 15 Celsius. That's nearer normal for this time of year.
Thanks, Darren, and you can get all of our local weather forecasts on our website.
I'm Helen Lewis, and I have a question for you. What connects nightmarish neighbourhood group chats, Russian propaganda, and a woman who married a chatbot?
officer. Police Commissioner for New South Wales, Karen Webb, told a news conference last night there were clues in the CCTV footage.
The videos speak for themselves, don't they? And that's certainly a line of inquiry for us. It's obvious to me, it's obvious to detectives that seems to be an area of interest that the offender had focused on women and avoided the men.
A study suggested that manufacturing accounts for 3 times as much of the UK's economic output as previously thought. The details are included in a report being released today by the Oxford Economics and Manufacturing Technologies Association. Here's our business correspondent, Mark Ashdown.
Food and drink, chemicals and pharmaceuticals, electronics and machinery. The manufacturing sector is vast, and it accounts for more of the UK's economic output than previously thought, according to this report. The true impact of manufacturing study will claim the sector represents 23% of GDP, way more than the 8.2% usually quoted by economists. That adds up to £518 billion of total output and supports 7.3 million jobs, roles that are often well paid too, with a median wage of £31,300, some 11% above the national average.
Sunset Boulevard was the big winner at the Olivier Theatre Awards in London last night. Andrew Lloyd Webber's musical took 7 awards, including acting prizes for its stars Nicole Scherzinger and Tom Francis. Other winners included the Succession star Sarah Snook, who won Best Actress for her performance in an adaptation of The Picture of Dorian Gray. Best Actor in a Play went to Mark Gatiss for The Motive and the Cue. He said he was surprised to win.
I'm very chuffed. I really didn't think it was going to happen because it's such a strong year. I had no idea, really. I'm a bit bewildered. I am a bit bewildered. I was eating a tuna sandwich 2 minutes before because we brought some food in. I was getting a terrible headache at long ceremony, so I was eating a tuna sandwich. I'm glad it wasn't caught on camera.
The actor, Mark Gatiss.
Caroline, thank you. 6 minutes past 6. What's the weather got in store for us? Darren Beck, tell us. Morning, Darren. Good morning, Nick. Well, it's not a good start to the week, I have to say. We've got a lot of wet weather around today. It's going to be a chilly day. A cold wind is going to be picking up. We've got low pressure at the moment to the north of Scotland. That's going to drive its way into the North Sea. But push wet weather southeastwards across the UK today. Now, we've got a really wet start this morning, actually, across northern England and Wales. Some heavier rain, gusty winds as well. That band of wet weather will sweep southeastwards over the coming few hours across the rest of England and into Wales as well. That will be followed probably by late morning across all areas by a mixture of sunshine and showers. Now, those showers will be turning heavier and becoming more frequent later in the day across Northern Ireland and Western Scotland, with some thunder in there as well. And it's cold enough for some winteriness in the showers over the Scottish mountains, the tops of the Pennines, and in Snowdonia as well. We're going to find a